Okay, so what we have been correcting so far were errors that were not revealed in the trial balance. Those were 6 errors with names. Now we are going to correct the ones that are revealed in the trial balance. Now, what is the difference? The ones that are not, it's because the error was on both sides. The error was made on the debit side and the credit side of equal amounts. So it would not have been revealed. That means you had to correct 2 accounts. For the ones that are that are revealed, the reason why they are revealed is because the error is only on one side. So the error may only be on the debit side or the credit side. And that is why the trial balance does not balance. Now, when that happens, we need the trial balance to balance. Okay, and we need to do our income statements and we need to do our balance sheet. So the first thing we really should do is we will go and look for the error. But if it is that we cannot find the error, then we have to open a temporary account called the suspense account. Now, what does suspense mean? Suspense means that you don't know, you are uncertain of something. So the suspense account is only supposed to be temporary because eventually we have to find that error. We have to find it. Okay, so it is temporary. We cannot be in a permanent state of suspense. So how do we open a suspense account? Basically, when the trial balance does not balance, whichever side is less, you're opening a suspense account for that particular side. And how do you do it? It's just like a normal T account. You will just go on the side that is less in the trial balance and you put the difference, the amount, say it's the debit side. And then when you open your account, which is a normal T account, you will go on that debit side, difference in trial balance, and you put the amount. So we had done this example, we had done our trial balance, and what we noticed is that the debit side was less by 400. So we had opened a suspense account, we put the detailed suspense account, 400 debit column, so that both sides debit was equal to credit. Now they may ask you, open the suspense account. So what they simply mean is to just go and open a normal T account, name of business, suspense account, normal date details, debit date details, credit. The suspense account, they said it was the debit side. So you will go on the debit side, the year, the date, and you put difference in trial balance, 400. And so you see it here, the 400 debit side, difference in trial balance. We don't know what the errors are as yet. They are in suspense. When we eventually find the errors, we are going to need to take out this 400. So you will go on the credit side, depending on if the error is the debit side, because it may not just be one error. That is the reality. There may be a lot of different errors with the net amount being debit side 400. But what the most important thing, and this is what our lesson is about, is correcting those errors once we find them. And very importantly, for these type of errors, to correct, we need to correct the error in the account it was made in, one account or one side, debit or credit, and the next account involved is the suspense account, because we now have to take out that error because it is no longer in suspense. We now know what the error is. So here's another example. This time our suspense account was for the credit side. So we open our account, our T account, and this time we go on the credit side, the year, the date, difference in trial balance, and the amount, $40. It's really, really, really simple. So JJ Bikes, debit side 12,140, credit side 12,240, which means that debit side is less. So you would open a suspense account, 100, and you will go therefore to the suspense account, the actual T account in your general ledger. Debit side, year, the date, difference in trial balance, 100. The next part of the question is usually to correct. But remember, the only reason that we are actually opening a suspense account is because we have not found the errors, but we need to prepare our financial statements, which would be our income statements and our balance sheet. And just like how we had to open a suspense account and enter it to result in the trial balance balancing, to get the trial balance to balance, we have to enter an amount for the suspense account, that same amount in the balance sheet, so that the balance sheet can also balance. Now, it is really simple. Suspense account is either a current asset or a current liability. Why current? Because remember, it's temporary. It is a temporary account. So we have to find those errors. How do we know whether it's a current asset or a current liability? We follow the double entry rules. And the double entry rules for an asset is the debit. So if your suspense account amount is on the debit side, that is a current asset. If it is on the credit side, like this example here, the $40, that means credit side liability. It will be a liability. Really nice and simple, same rules you have always been applying, so it's good. Now that we have done up our financial statements, we have gotten that out of the way, we go back to finding the error. And these errors don't have a name like our 6 errors, error of commission and principal and complete reversal of entry. It does not have a specific name. What it does have is just basically a description. And most importantly, in terms of these errors, they are revealed in the trial balance because debits are supposed to be equal to credits, but they are not equal. Why? Because there was an error on one side. So because there was an error on only one side, whether it's the debit or the credit, that is why it is affecting the trial balance. That means, once again, notice emphasizing, with your 6 errors before, the error was in 2 accounts or both sides. More accurately, both sides. The error was on the debit side and the credit side, equal amounts. Difference here, and all the errors we are going to deal with for the time being are going to be these type of errors. Only one side or one account was affected, which means, remember, the other account for the other side is going to be the suspense account. So every single one of these type of errors has an entry for the suspense account. So notice all of these errors, whether it be overstatement, understatement, one account or one side of the double entry, transposition, we mix up the numbers, instead of 650, put 560, one of the accounts or one half of the double entry, wrong side, unlike complete reversal where it was both accounts, they put it on the wrong side. This is only one account or one side, the debit or the credit, where they put it on the wrong side, which means that instead of having a debit and a credit, they had 2 debits. That is a no-no. Or they had 2 credits. No-no. So only one of them will have to be corrected. You're not going to correct both of them and then have them both on the same, on the other side, right? Make sense? So wrong side, but this time on only one half of the double entry or one account. Omission, it's omitted from one of the accounts or the debit side or the credit side, or. And then the last one, which we are not going to get into for this lesson at all, would be errors made in the trial balance. Interest on loan is very popular with you guys in terms of a lot of you put it as a credit. Interest on loan is an expense. So it is supposed to be on the debit column or the debit side for your trial balance. You may have done the accounts correctly, interest on loan account, you had your transactions on the debit side, and then you come to do the trial balance. And for whatever reason, I don't know what is going through you guys' mind because we've been over this, you still put it on the credit side of the trial balance. That has to be corrected because the trial balance will not balance because you put it on the wrong column. Even though the double entry, everything else, the journals, everything else was correct, you come at the end of the game and you go and you put it on the wrong side. But as I said, we're not going to do that one now. We are going to do the others in terms of the one-sided error, so to speak. So before we go into it, we're going to just once again, for your correction, for all these type of errors, one account is going to be the account that the error was made. On the side it was made on, whether it's the debit side or the credit side. And then the other account for all will be the suspense account. And what you are going to be practicing is how do you identify whether you debit the suspense or credit the suspense and what you do with the other accounts. So these are my steps: identifying the correct entry to identify which account the error was made in. So you're identifying the account that the error was made in, basically. And then you're going to identify the side, the correct side, the correct amount, whatever it is, for that account. And then the suspense account is automatically the opposite side. That's a quick and easy way, but I will give you the explanation at least once in terms of the suspense account. What is the process behind it? And then for the exam, you could just do it the nice, easy way, okay? So here we have an example. And since we're dealing with double entry, you could jot down your Alice here for the increases, and then automatically you notice the opposite for the decrease. So discounts received had been posted to the purchases ledger, which has your payable personal accounts. So they did enter it in your payable account, but not in the discounts received account. So the account that you have to go and enter it in to correct the error is going to be your discounts received, not your payable, because it was entered correctly there. That means that what you have to do for the discounts received account to correct it, discounts received is income, that means credit, so you're going to have to credit it. And that means automatically the next account is the suspense account. What you're gonna do? Debit. Now let's go through the process of why it's a debit. You omitted to make an entry for $70 on the credit side. So which means that your trial balance would have been less on the credit side, which means that you would have opened a suspense account for the credit side, $70. So on the credit side of your suspense account, you would have $70 that you don't know what the error was. Now we know what the error is, so we will go and we will put the amount on the credit side, and we now have to take it out of the suspense account because it is no longer suspense. We take it out, and since it was on the credit side, you have to debit it to take it out. So you see the end result is you end up debiting the suspense account. Another way you could look at it, credit side was not entered. So we had substituted the discount receipt because we didn't know that was the account. We substituted that with the suspense account, credit side. Now that we know, we have to take it out of the suspense account, do the opposite, debit. Nice. But we are just once again going to go to very simply identifying its discount received is your credit. So you're going to credit discount received and debit suspense account $70 to correct entry omitted from the discount received account. So let's go really quickly with this because I don't want to take up much of your time, and you could always pause and rewind. A check for $225 received from Jay's company entered in the cash book once again correctly, but not in the personal account. The personal account is Jay's company. So this is the account that the error was made. So we identified this as the account. How do we know whether we have to correctly debit or credit? Look at the transaction. Check received, which means in the cash book it would have been debited. So Jay's company has to now be credited. And then automatically, suspense account will be the debit account. So let me just point out very quickly, even though we identified the credit account first, notice that when you go to your journal, you must always, always enter the account to be debited first. Always. Okay, so you see it here. Yes, we identify Jay's company as a credit, but suspense account is written down first with the amount under the debit column first, because debit comes before credit, $225, and then Jay's company credited $225, credit column, which comes after. So let's go on to the next one. Identify the account the error was made. We have payment of insurance entered in cash book again, but not posted to the insurance account. So the account involved here is the insurance. What do you do with insurance? Insurance is an expense, payment of insurance, expense debit. So you have to debit the insurance account. So we debit the insurance account, the $1,400. The other account must be the suspense because no error was made in the cash book. So it's suspense account, and suspense account will just be credited because it was debited before. So now we have to take it out credited. And if they ask you for a narrative, to correct the amount omitted in the expense account. Next example, another one with omission, so gave the same type, which is the account the error was made in. Once again, they entered it correctly in the cash book, but not the revenue account, which is the revenue rent received. So we have to go and enter it there. Rent received is revenue or income, that's a credit. So we're going to credit rent received. Notice once again, we identify the credit, but which account has to be written first? The suspense account, which the opposite is done for, you're debiting. So debit suspense account, $3,500. Once you keep the steps, you're going to get it nice and easy. Okay, just go through the steps one by one. We changed it up. This is our last example, and this one is a bit different. So we have cash drawings, $320 entered in the cash book correctly again. So we have no correction to be done there, but entered on the wrong side of the drawings account. Only the drawings account was it entered on the wrong side. So what we have there is which account has to be corrected? Drawings. What do we usually do with drawings? We usually debit drawings. So we are going to go and debit drawings. But what amount are we going to debit drawings? Since it was the wrong side, The wrong side means that we have to double the amount. Just like we did for complete reversal of entries, we double the amount. 1,320 is to take it out of the wrong side. The next 320 is to enter it on the correct side. So the amount will be 640, debit drawing 640, credit suspense account 640. And there we have some examples of these errors. Once again, you're going to go off and do the the activity. Just remember all of these errors, every single one for this activity are errors revealed in the trial balance, which means there must be a suspense account. Must. Nice and easy. We have not mixed up things as yet. So all the best with that one. Have fun with it.